The last time we saw Bobby Boucher, he had an incredible season with the LSU Tigers, and he even helped lead LSU deep into the college football playoffs.
Captain Insano shows no mercy.
And after winning multiple awards including Best Defensive Player, Best Linebacker, and the all-prestigious Heisman Trophy, which really encapsulated just how amazing his season was. Unfortunately, the Tigers would lose to Texas A&M in the college football playoffs, sending Bobby and the Tigers home to prepare for next season. Which brings us to today, where Bobby makes it evidently clear to Coach Klein that he has no intentions of transferring anywhere. And not only because he really loves his mama, and she would never let him go that far from her, Bobby's main goal is to now win the national championship. And Coach Klein agreed to try to give Bobby some more help on defense, while also trying to make that offense a bit better. And now heading into the following season, Bobby saw that Coach Klein did a good job developing and recruiting some players on offense, but the defense seemed to have some real ball players now, whether it was incoming freshmen like Brock McCracken, or this other beast of a linebacker Tylen Singleton, who was actually rated higher than Bobby Boucher. But there are also many other players on this defense that Bobby is super excited to hit the gridiron with and win a lot of foosball games this year. But before they get into their first game, Bobby wants to see just how improved this defense might be. And from what it looks like, it seems like everybody's pretty locked in. Whether it's the defensive backfield or these young emerging linebackers, Bobby liked what he was seeing. But before the game, one of the defensive coordinators challenged Bobby to 5 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. So Bobby was extra locked in going into his first game against James Madison.
Western Sky, and it is Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, home of the LSU Tigers, one of the great venues in college football. We have a ranked versus unranked battle coming up here. You know how chaos can ensue if they start smelling an upset.
We start the season off on 1st and 10 where Bobby is missing a tackle and allowing a pretty decent game. And James Madison seems pretty confident in their game plan because they are moving down the field quickly early on in this drive.
Hit the gas, kid, wide open ahead. Just trucks.
But that couldn't last forever as Bobby Boucher makes his first big play of the season with a tackle for loss. And then here on 3rd down, Bobby gets out to the edge to make sure the quarterback doesn't get into the end zone. And on the next drive, Bobby is working to be in the backfield again, getting his 2nd tackle for loss. And although Bobby misses the tackle here on 3rd down, his teammates are there to clean it up. When James Madison gets back on offense, they're able to break off a run for a big gain. So on this next play, Bobby decided to take matters into his own hands. LSU did get a little lucky on this play as the receiver dropped the ball on a potential 1st down. But at the end of the day, they have Bobby Boucher, and he is always ready to make a play. But that doesn't mean his teammates are always ready to make a big play, because right here they let up a big play on 3rd down and 10. And on the very next play, James Madison is throwing a dart into the end zone for a touchdown to take the lead. Right here, Bobby's trying to go for the first safety of his career, and although he doesn't get it, later in the drive, the defense does get an interception that helps bring the ball all the way back down the field for a touchdown to take the lead back. And now Bobby is continuing to make his presence felt as he is frequently getting in the backfield. And you can see Coach Klein's recruiting in the offseason really worked, because these guys are also able to bring the quarterback down to the ground. But James Madison will continue fighting later on in the 4th quarter, even getting themselves a touchdown here to get themselves back in the ball game. And this game has really become a close ball game because not only did they get the 2-point conversion, but the LSU offense failed to put up any points to extend the lead. So now the LSU defense knows that they have to make something happen here. And they work really hard to get a stop here on 3rd down. And even though James Madison was able to score a long touchdown right here, the LSU offense was able to not only put up points, but chew down enough clock to end this game.
much anticipation coming into the season, finally getting ready to play in front of a live audience.
And after the game, not only did the DC give Bobby a good job for his performance, but he also got offered an NIL deal to do some work involving physical therapy. But then Bobby thought about it, and he remembered that one time where Mama said that physical therapy was the devil. So he decided to decline that. And now Bobby Boucher and the LSU Tigers were ready to get into their next game against the Clemson Tigers.
Unlike any other in sports, very intimidating for visitors. As they say, this is where visitors' dreams come to die. This is not just any other matchup. Both teams come in ranked in the top 10, colliding early in the season.
Starting this game on 3rd and 8, Bobby notices that the Clemson running back is going out for a swing pass. So he follows the guy out there and basically levels the guy horizontally to prevent the first down. On the following drive, Bobby is working to get himself in the backfield. And although he doesn't quite make the tackle here, his teammates are there to finish the job. But on this 2nd down and 21, Bobby Boucher is looking to get the job done himself. And as you can see, Bobby Boucher and his teammates are really feeling themselves right now. And for the time being, they have every right to, because Bobby Boucher is getting out there to stop the screen pass on 3rd down. But with LSU's offense going almost a whole first half without scoring a single point, Clemson was bound to take advantage of that eventually. But LSU's defense stayed locked in and did a great job preventing the amount of points that Clemson would score on this drive. And with LSU's offense seemingly giving the ball right back, plus with great field position, Clemson was in a great spot to make something happen here on this drive. And they sure did, because on this 1st down, they were able to complete a pass into the end zone for a touchdown. And then going into the 3rd quarter, Clemson would seemingly maintain a lot of that momentum. And they did a great job getting down the field here. But Bobby Boucher has great instincts on this play and snuffs out the screen early. Clemson found themselves back in the red zone, driving deep into LSU territory. But on this 2nd down and goal, Bobby bursts through to smack the quarterback and force his first fumble of the season. And thankfully, LSU picks it up, resulting in a turnover.
This offense just blew an opportunity. Have a nice lead here in the 2nd half with the football. The last thing you want to...
And now with LSU finally putting points up, this game looks a little bit more interesting. But it seems like Clemson is having its way with this LSU secondary right now, because they're able to easily find a guy open in the front left pylon of the end zone to extend the lead further. But this defense didn't give up, so they stopped the 2-point conversion on this play and got consecutive stops in the backfield on 2nd down and then 3rd down. And with LSU's offense now having an opportunity to take back the lead, they get all the way down to the goal line before the quarterback is sacked and the time runs out, resulting in the first loss of the season for LSU. And even with the loss, Bobby wins SEC and the National Defensive Player of the Week once again. And he and the LSU Tigers are ready to bounce back in their next game against SMU.
James and SMU hoping to restore the glory and get things started in this one. And boy, do we have a fun one ahead. Top 10 team, target on their back, going on their road and right into the snake pit.
We start this game off on 2nd and 4, where SMU is moving down the field pretty easily.
He's got his man.
And SMU's opening drive was actually met with very little resistance from Bobby and the rest of the LSU Tigers.
He has the first and still on his feet. And after a
First down,
Because in under 2 minutes, SMU was able to get themselves into the end zone to take the lead.
getting a hat on.
and he runs it in for the
And after the LSU offense fails to put up points, Bobby leads by example by getting a stop here on this play, and they follow right behind him by getting pressure on this next play and creating a sack. Now tied 7-7, Bobby wants the defense to stay locked in, but they allow a huge completion down the left side of the field. And right as we think SMU might be able to get down the field and get into the end zone again, LSU's defense comes up with a huge play downfield, causing the interception and getting the ball right back. And although LSU did not put up points once again, Bobby felt real comfortable about his defense getting a stop here on this drive. The defense held them to another 4th down, but SMU picked it up anyway. And then on top of that, once they got into the goal-to-goal situation, the quarterback just ran it in for a touchdown. Bobby was trying to make his presence felt by laying a huge hit on a receiver on this play. But on this third down, the SMU quarterback kept his eyes downfield and found a receiver deep in the end zone for a touchdown. But now with the game back tied, Bobby went on to make some big plays to let SMU know that it wasn't going to be easy for them to get down the field all night. And on third down, Bobby's teammates delivered that message too by getting in the backfield. With LSU now up by 7, SMU found their way down the field and into the goal-to-go territory once again. But after the LSU defense does a great job here on fourth down, SMU is left with one Hail Mary and an opportunity to win the game if they can get into the end zone. But the defense holds tight, and Bobby and the LSU Tigers escape this game with a win. And this season, Bobby is really looking forward to becoming the best player and leader that he can possibly be. So he put some time this week into doing just that. And now going into his next game against FCS East, Bobby felt even more motivated and ready to go.
Today, we have one of those games that tests your focus. Top 25 team.
Bobby didn't even want this game to be close. So he thought about all those people who used to laugh at him just a couple years ago. And not only did Bobby keep this energy all day, but the rest of his defense did a great job following his lead. Bobby Boucher was wrecking his team, as if it was just a practice or a little mini workout. FCS East had absolutely no run game, and Bobby and the rest of his defense barely even let them get past midfield. But there was some plays where FCS East did get lucky and exploit the weakness of this defense, finding men open downfield for a touchdown. But there wasn't much for the Astronauts to do when Bobby Boucher was looking around the middle, looking to make a play any way that he can. I mean, they were really trying to run from Bobby, but they couldn't hide. And after Bobby Boucher goes for another sack in this game, he is recognized for getting his 20th sack of his career. And then it's just right back to business, where Bobby is getting in the backfield for another tackle for loss. And after Bobby goes for just one more TFL, Coach Klein decides to take Bobby and the rest of the starters out and have them sit for the remainder of the game.
Thank you all so much for being my friends.
The following week, Bobby finds out he wins another SEC and National Defensive Player of the Week. Bobby knows they have a very important game coming up this week, so he puts some time into his health and being a true leader for this team. But on top of that, he's able to upgrade some of his quickness, so he makes sure to do that. Because Bobby, Coach Klein, and the LSU Tigers are about to face off against Coach Red Boy U and the Georgia Bulldogs.
This is not a normal matchup. Two teams ranked in the top 10, colliding right here in the middle of the season, trying to make a strong statement. Big playoff implications. Because we'll see a team fresh and ready to go off a bye week. LSU Tigers.
To start this game off, Georgia is trying to make a statement early by picking up a big gain here on second down. But that LSU defense continued to stand strong, forcing a Georgia field goal that may or may not be too far out, because this Georgia kicker actually misses it. With Georgia only down by 6. They're working down the field to try to take the lead. And after Georgia gets stopped and attempts another field goal, they somehow actually make this one. But Bobby had to keep making his presence felt by getting in the backfield once again. And here LSU was able to get the stop on third down to force Georgia to another field goal attempt. And Georgia just comes right back out swinging. And they must have found a weakness in the defense because they're attacking the left side once again. And as they move further down the field, they're actually able to find a man in the end zone for a touchdown. After halftime, LSU found themselves down 10, with Georgia continuing to drive once again. And on this 1st and 10, Georgia is set up for an opportunity for an easy score, and they take advantage of it, putting the ball in the end zone for another touchdown. And at this point, LSU's offense is not only doing a bad job putting up points, but they are continuously setting up Georgia with great field position. But LSU's defense continues to fight, getting a big-time stop here on third down. Now only down 13, Bobby knows if he can continue to put pressure on that Georgia offense, he can give his own offense an opportunity to succeed. So he gets to the backfield twice on this drive. And on this third down, LSU's defense is able to get the stop and allow the offense an opportunity to make this game closer. Now down by 6 late in the 4th quarter, LSU's defense fights to get the stop here on third down, which gives the team 1 minute left to try and get down the field and take the lead. But LSU's offense once again just can't get it done. And with one more big rush here leading to a first down, Georgia is able to take a knee, chew out the rest of the clock, and take this victory. But neither Bobby nor Coach Klein were too worried about that loss, because they still had playoff spots to fight for going into their next game against Texas.
Tiger Stadium, home of the LSU Tigers, one of the great venues in college football. We have a ranked versus unranked battle coming up here. You know how chaos can ensue if they start smelling an upset. As we'll see, the win.
We start this game off on first down, where Bobby Boucher is setting the tone early. And then later on in the drive, he gets into the backfield for a stop to put an end to it. After the first quarter was mostly a stalemate, Texas is able to find a receiver open on the left side, who runs up the field and into the end zone for a touchdown. But later in the quarter, LSU comes up with a pick that gives their offense the momentum to get down the field and score their own touchdown. Now up 3, LSU is in great position if they can get a stop here on third down, but somehow the defense leaves the flats wide open, and Archie Manning recognizes it and gets him the ball. And I guess absolutely nobody on this defense was in position to make a play, because the ball carrier is able to get down the field and into the end zone for another touchdown. Now trailing here in this game, Bobby knows that he's going to have to make his presence felt. So he tracks down the receiver after the reception and lays a huge hit on him. But Texas was determined to take some of that momentum back. And their quarterback was the lead catalyst for that, as he was finding a way to get the ball down the field to open receivers left and right. And right as Texas is looking like they're in position to go downfield and score yet another touchdown, you see Bobby Boucher drop back into coverage and say, "Mwah!" Bobby Boucher with the pick, and he has stolen back the momentum for his team. And that momentum carried over into the next drive, as the defense gets a stop in the backfield here on first down, but then forces a punt here after this third down. And Texas definitely gets a lot of credit here because they continue to fight. And they even got the team going in hurry up just in case they're able to get a quick score. But on this play, the quarterback drops a little bit too far back, and he is eventually sacked, stripped for a fumble, and turns the ball over. Texas is trying to make something happen here, but Bobby Boucher comes up with the pick to give his offense the ball back and effectively put this game out of reach. For the past season and a half, Bobby Boucher has been carrying this LSU team. but he's going to have to keep it up against his next SEC opponent, Missouri.
Bengals in the stadium called Death Valley since the late 50s. We have a ranked versus unranked battle coming up here, and you know how chaos can ensue if they start smelling an upset. As we'll see a team fresh and ready to go off a bye.
This game started off a bit slow for LSU, only picking up a field goal on their first drive and allowing big rush yards on this drive. But Bobby made sure to put an end to that by getting in the backfield here on third down. Throughout this game, Bobby and the LSU defense continued to stand strong, and the LSU offense did a pretty good job continuously putting up points. But this felt like another game that Bobby Boucher was taking over because he would get in the backfield for a sack on this play. Well, he was taking over the game other than when he got penalties.
They're trying to get to it. That's caught. It's Roberts. He's brought down, but there's a flag on the field. Let's see what the call is.
And somehow all season, a weakness for this defense has been allowing big yardage up the middle or down the sideline almost every game. But the LSU defense does tighten up on this third down to limit Missouri's points on this possession. After Bobby lays a big hit here on first down, Missouri begins indicating that they're already done with this game.
Always open. Quarterback's best friend, and this guy's a problem.
And although they would continue to fight down the field,
Off the play fake on first down to throw. Unloads to the right.
and even get in the end zone one more time,
And he's on his way. He'll go on first
right when Missouri thought that they had made a big play downfield and set themselves up, Bobby runs over to the ball carrier and says, "Boom! Give me that ball!" It's once again another game where Bobby Boucher makes a play to save the day. And LSU was able to escape another game with a big W. But after the game, Bobby's academic advisor is letting him know that his grades are slipping, and he could come in for extra help if he wanted to, which he agrees to. And Bobby thought it was a miracle, because immediately after receiving that text from his advisor, he received an offer for an NIL deal that would allow him to increase his GPA. And Bobby knows anything that's going to help him stay on the football field is likely worth doing, so he accepted that deal. And now Bobby and the LSU Tigers are ready to go on the road to take on the Tennessee Volunteers.
This big crowd ready to roar. They know when the Volunteers run through that tee, it's showtime. And wow, do we have a fun one here ahead. A top 10 team walking into the snake pit of an environment, just trying to get out alive. This will be fun, as we'll see the number 2 team in the country, LSU Tigers, taking on the winners of 4 straight, the Tennessee Volunteers.
We start this game on first down where Bobby Boucher is getting in the backfield. But that Tigers secondary is playing soft, allowing a very big gain down the field. And unfortunately, Bobby is stuck on a block in this play because none of his teammates are able to bring down the ball carrier before he gets in the end zone for the touchdown. Now tied at 7, Bobby does a good job getting his defense off the field here on third down. But I guess that LSU offense just didn't come ready to play today, because they are putting their defense in a really bad spot, allowing Tennessee to start with great field position. But the defense does a really good job taking care of that and limiting Tennessee's points on this possession. The following drive, Bobby drops back and almost gets a pick, but the pass is completed and the receiver is free to run down the field and into the end zone for another touchdown. That LSU offense is doing a good job keeping up, and that LSU defense is doing its job trying to shut things down. And now with the lead back, LSU just needs someone to keep making plays. And who else but Bobby Boucher? Bobby! Another interception on the season, and he has got his offense the ball back. But unfortunately, not only do they not score, but Tennessee comes out the next drive as if absolutely nothing happened. They got all the way down the field until this third down, where they ran into this brick wall called Bobby Boucher. And with LSU still having the lead, the absolute last thing that they needed was exactly what happened on this play. A bunch of missed tackles leading to a very big gain down the left sideline. Thankfully, this LSU's goal line defense was great all season and finds a way to put an end to the drive here on third down. And although they were still trailing, Tennessee made it very clear that they had no intentions of giving up, because they continued to make big plays down the field, putting themselves in position to score a touchdown, which eventually came on this play on first down and goal. And it was bad enough that they scored a touchdown, but allowing this two-point conversion started to put some pressure on LSU. Luckily, Bobby Boucher has always responded to pressure well, and the defense was able to get off the field here on third down. But somehow Tennessee scored a touchdown while Bobby was off the field. And now Bobby and this LSU defense are really in danger, because there's a possibility that they could give up the lead here. But on this first down and 10, Bobby Boucher drops back into coverage and says, "Give me that!" Bobby Boucher with another pick? They might as well start building a statue for that man. But even with that pick, you'd be surprised to find out that Tennessee still has an opportunity to win this game. And on this play where it looks like LSU might get a sack, the quarterback is able to get the ball off, and he completes the pass all the way down the field inside the goal-to-goal territory. And with the defense feeling like it's going to be a guaranteed run on this play, nobody is covering the flats, and Tennessee gets into the end zone for a game-winning touchdown. Because no offense to the LSU offense, but Bobby knew there was no chance that this offense was getting down the field to score. So unfortunately, LSU would be sent home with a heartbreaking loss. And Bobby thought it was cool that he won SEC Defensive Player of the Week again, but he was done with that stuff, man. He wanted to win. And taking losses like this was not going to help them get to the national championship. So going into the next game, he focused on training and getting his schoolwork done so he can maintain his eligibility. But before the game, one of Bobby's defensive coaches, Farmer Fran, wanted to give a speech to pump up the defense after their most recent performance. And Bobby was so inspired by that, he listened to every single word and took it into his next game against Mississippi State.
Start Vegas, where earplugs are highly recommended because the cowbells will be ringing. This matchup today, part of the lifeblood of the sport.
To start this game off, Bobby is doing what he usually does by getting in the backfield. And here on third down, that defensive front seven is putting real pressure on the quarterback, eventually resulting in a sack. The following drive, Mississippi State tries taking back some of that momentum because they make a huge play down the sideline and they pick up a big gain. But I think one of the Mississippi State linemen forgot to block Bobby on this play because he is once again in the backfield to stop the running back in his tracks. And Bobby Boucher got this defense feeling themselves today. And they might have that quarterback feeling nervous because he throws the ball out of bounds. And on the next drive, he just accepts that Bobby Boucher is coming. And he doesn't even try to evade the sack. Bobby would continue to apply pressure, but Mississippi State started to get downfield and apply some of their own. But on third down, this LSU defense got home to create a sack, and they forced a field goal. And at some point, you got to start feeling bad for Mississippi State's running back. But now down 17, Mississippi State knew they had to try to make a play. And they did a great job making it a game again by getting a touchdown on this play. But at some point, the score was starting to become too much, even though Mississippi State did rattle off some bigger plays later on in the game, including a touchdown on this play to bring the lead down to 21. But Bobby remembered he had a date with Vicky Valancourt, so he was trying to get this game over with. Bobby forces a huge fumble and recovers it deep into Mississippi State's territory. And you might notice that Bobby Boucher put so much fear into this Mississippi State quarterback's heart, but Bobby barely even hit him. He pretty much just gave him the ball and ran. But that quarterback did show that he had a little bit of heart, because he came back the next drive and threw a touchdown. And by the end of this game, the Mississippi State skill players were being destroyed by Bobby Boucher, and the quarterback was afraid that when he dropped back to pass, Bobby Boucher might say, getting another pick on this season and forcing another turnover. But Bobby wasn't done yet, because as if the quarterback wasn't scared of him enough, Bobby rips around the lineman for another sack. And then there's some pretty unexplainable stuff happening. And now Bobby and the LSU Tigers are rightly so very excited, because they won a game against an SEC opponent, put another win on their board, and increased their opportunity to get a national championship. And Bobby once again wins Defensive Player of the Week. And Bobby doesn't usually care about stats, but that game against Mississippi State might be the best game of his career. He's happy that he's able to be such a major contributor to a team, and he's looking forward to keeping it up in his next game against Auburn.
And it is Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, home of the LSU Tigers, one of the great venues in college football. There's nothing quite like a great rivalry matchup in college football. The bitterness, the intensity, the lifetime of memories that will come as a result of what we're about to see in this one.
To start this game off on 1st and 10, Bobby goes unblocked and is able to lay a big hit on the running back. And Auburn came up empty on this drive after failing this third down conversion. Deep in Auburn territory, Bobby is once again getting in the backfield. And the defense is so inspired that someone causes a fumble on the ball carrier, and Bobby Boucher is right there to pick it up. After the offense only scored 3 points, LSU's defense wants to continue making plays, but Auburn wants to start making some plays of their own. But this defense was really too much for Auburn, because throughout the whole first half they only scored 3 points, and even when they were able to pick up big gains, Bobby Boucher would be right there to push him back. One of Auburn's best drives of the game came here in the third quarter, where they were able to get deep down the field before Bobby Boucher happened. And Bobby's teammates would often join in on the fun, making a lot of plays of their own. But then out of nowhere, everything changed, because that Auburn quarterback just threw the ball up and they scored a one-play touchdown. And now only down by 5, Auburn was somehow in great position to take the lead. And eventually the quarterback would find someone open in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown. But it was great that they didn't get the 2-point conversion to extend that lead. And the defense just worked to get back to their greatness by getting a stop here in the backfield, and then getting a pick here to give the offense the ball back. But after the offense fails to put up points, this started to look like a really bad position to be in. But Bobby and that defense stepped up here on third down and gave the offense an opportunity to go back down the field and regain the lead. And with only 30 seconds left, Auburn was making pretty decent progress down the field themselves. And they could have had another big play here if it wasn't for LSU's defense coming up with the interception to finally put this game away. But the job was definitely not finished, because Bobby and the Tigers had another SEC matchup against the Kentucky Wildcats.
And soon the fog will rise off the Big Muddy, and will it also bring a victory for the beloved Bayou Bengals? Tiger Stadium, home of LSU.
We start this game on third down where Kentucky is able to rip off a huge rush. But then Bobby Boucher is finding himself right where he belongs, in the opposing team's backfield. And the defense was able to keep up that momentum as they got a stop here on third down, and then another third down in the second quarter where Bobby handled it himself. And although Kentucky did eventually convert one, LSU's defense would eventually hold them to 3. And with LSU's offense still having 0 points even after halftime, every time Kentucky kept getting down the field, it started to get more scary. But Bobby did continue to try to make his presence felt, and it worked as he helped the defense get off the field here. But the rest of that defense just really wasn't locked in, and they let up another big gain down the sideline. But they did do a good job preventing a touchdown here on this play. Now with the game tied, the defense decided to step up, and they were able to get off the field on this drive. And now down by 7 with 30 seconds left, Kentucky is looking to make a play, but Bobby Boucher comes up with the pick and brings it into the end zone for his first touchdown of the season. And at that point, this game was pretty much over, and Bobby Boucher and the LSU Tigers were ready to move on to next week. But before his next game, Bobby wanted to upgrade his quickness one more time and check out his stats to see how he's doing compared to other players, and it turns out that he is still the best. And now Bobby is ready to get into his next game against Texas A&M.
As we wind our way toward the end of another college football season, one of the grand traditions is paying tribute and respect to those who have just poured their souls.
To start this game off, Bobby Boucher is trying to take the running back's head off. And if not that, he wants to make sure that he doesn't come a foot past the line of scrimmage.
They bring him down, and he's going to lose a yard on that one.
And on this first drive, Bobby's defense is locked in, and Tylen Singleton gets in for a sack. The following drive, Bobby reminds the running back that Bobby is his worst nightmare. And on third down, the Texas A&M quarterback taps into his Stevie Wonder vision and throws it pretty much directly into the hands of an LSU defender. And with Bobby continuing to set the tone for this LSU defense and continuously living in Texas A&M's backfield, it was getting real hard for them to make any progress down the field. Because if Bobby didn't make a play, someone else was bound to. And just like every other game, this LSU defense would let up a few big plays, but it was okay because Bobby Boucher was always there to make a play. Bobby Boucher. Texas A&M's offense was doing so bad that their defense had actually scored more points than them. But A&M would continuously find their way into opposing territory. And even though LSU got a pick here, but then Bobby is reminded that his offense isn't much better, because they give the ball right back with great field position. And Texas A&M finds a way to take advantage. After failing the two-point conversion, Texas A&M can still drive down the field and tie the game up.
It's Reed. Unloads it left. All kinds of room.
And with 5 seconds left on the clock, it's almost like a Texas miracle because they were able to get into the end zone for a touchdown. And not just that, because they went on ahead and got that two-point conversion too. And now in overtime, A&M has put some serious pressure on LSU because they got down the field and scored a touchdown. And now all Bobby and the rest of the defense can do is hope that the offense is able to get into the end zone to not only tie the game, but then again to take the lead. And thankfully they do. And after Bobby and his defense holds A&M to this fourth down, the game is coming down to one play, and the pass falls down to the ground incomplete, and LSU is able to escape this game with another win.
This team has to love their ability to.
And after the game, Bobby's academic advisor is telling him that he got 3 D's and an F. But fortunately, it won't prevent him from playing ball. And Bobby decides not to worry about it because it is now the end of the regular season. So Bobby decides to check out who his next matchup will be in the college football playoffs, and as of now, it looks like it's going to be Southern Miss. And then he later found out that Tennessee actually won the SEC championship over Georgia. But nobody knows that Bobby is actually dealing with some problems at home, because he invited Vicky Valancourt over for dinner with his mama, but there was an argument, and then mama decided to tell Vicky that Bobby pees the bed still. And then Bobby decided to take himself out of the situation because he has a game coming up this week. So he spends his remaining free time training extra hard before he gets the news that he won Player of the Year and back-to-back Heisman trophies, becoming the first player to win the award in back-to-back years since Archie Griffin in 1974 and 1975. But not just that, Bobby realizes that he actually just graduated from college. I mean, he did so good with his schoolwork that LSU told him if he wants to come back for one more season, he doesn't even have to worry about school. But for now, Bobby and the LSU Tigers are ready for their college football playoffs, and their first matchup is against Florida State.
The beginning of this 12-team playoff in front of a home crowd in a raucous environment. And our matchup tonight sets up a potential Cinderella story. The last team to qualify for this 12-team playoff on the road against a team that likely believes it should be resting.
And we start this game off no different than most of the other games, with Bobby Boucher in the backfield. And even though FSU picks up a nice gain here, LSU lets them know that they're not here to mess around. And Bobby Boucher continued to do his part on this drive, but Florida State would find a way to take advantage of the weakness of this defense and get into the end zone for a touchdown. Florida State would find himself once again moving downfield. But LSU's defense decided to tighten up. And this play here on third down was a great time for the defense to get in for a sack force fumble, where Tylen Singleton picks the ball up and runs it all the way back to the end zone for a touchdown. Now up 3, Bobby wants to continue putting on pressure, but Florida State wants to continue putting on pressure of their own by completing a big pass here, and then picking up another first down in LSU territory. But like I said, LSU was not here to mess around, as they held FSU to a field goal on this drive. But FSU was very good, and it showed. Because they got the first and goal and took advantage of it as they got in the end zone once again. But thankfully, LSU's offense started to step up, because after halftime, they were somehow leading by 7 points. And Bobby did a great job not letting them in the end zone by single-handedly ending this drive. The following drive, Bobby Boucher found himself in the backfield once again, and his defense followed suit by creating a sack. But their offense was once again giving the ball back with great field position. And Florida State would eventually capitalize. And after LSU failed to get points, their season looked like it was in jeopardy. But Bobby's defense was able to rise up, hold Florida State to 3 points, and allow his offense an opportunity to come back and tie this game up. And after the offense does their job, the defense does theirs by getting a stop here on third down. But admittedly, there is something fishy that happens on the next drive, because there are clearly 10 seconds left on the clock before out of nowhere it just cuts down to 4 seconds. And this quite literally couldn't have been more perfect timing, because Florida State throws a bomb downfield and they catch it inside the red zone. And they would have had an opportunity to call a timeout, but there was no time left, I guess. And I don't know if Coach Klein made a call to the ref or something, but Bobby Boucher and the rest of the Tigers will definitely take it, because now LSU had another big game against Oregon.
Everyone to Arlington, Texas at AT&T Stadium, site of this year's Goodyear Cotton Bowl, part, of course, of the college football playoff. We are through the opening round of this year's playoff, and now the pressure is mounting in the quarterfinals.
And to start this game off, Bobby Boucher, once again, in the backfield. And his teammates started off locked in too, because they were also in the backfield. And I'll just shoot it to you straight here. Bobby Boucher definitely remembers his first college football playoffs with the Raging Cajuns, and the Oregon Ducks were the team to take him out. So he was going to do whatever it took to take them out. And even though they weren't there, the rest of his defense were on the same page, because at this point, Bobby had become pretty much the quarterback of this defense. And them boys wanted to make plays to be on the same level as Bobby Boucher. And every time Oregon got to third down, somebody was going to be there to make a play. Even deep in goal-to-goal territory, this Oregon Ducks team was finding a hard time putting the ball in the end zone, as they would throw a pick here. And now down 23, Oregon was going to have to try to make something happen. But Bobby Boucher drops back into coverage and says, "Mwanga!" Picking up another interception on his season, while getting revenge on the Oregon Ducks in the process. And at this point, Coach Klein feels fine taking Bobby and the rest of the starters out because they have definitely secured this playoff win. And after the game, Bobby looks at the college football playoff bracket and realizes that if they win one more game, they might have to match up against Coach Red Boy U and the Georgia Bulldogs. But as of right now, he does not have time to care about that because he has business to take care of against the #1 team in the nation, Kansas State.
We've reached the semifinal stage. One last hurdle to clear before the national championship game.
We start this game on 3rd down, where Bobby Boucher is shooting out of a rocket to bring the quarterback down to the ground. And just a little spoiler alert, Bobby Boucher is not messing around this game. He's already upset enough that Kansas State decided to put on purple jerseys for this game. But on top of that, they're trying to take away his opportunity to win a national championship? Well, Bobby Boucher was not having any of that. And it seemingly appeared that neither was the rest of his defense. But Kansas State was getting lucky at times, like right here on his 4th down. And then they had to run a reverse just to get down the field. And eventually did punch it into the end zone for a touchdown. And now with the ball back, Kansas State was trying to take advantage of the opportunity that they had. Because they were driving downfield and putting themselves in good position to take the lead. But on this play, the quarterback rolls out and almost runs into a sack. Now with the game back tied up, Bobby is just trying to do his part. Because he knows that if his offense isn't locked in like Kansas State's, then the defense is going to have to.
Can he make it to the marker?
So he does a great job continuing to live in that Kansas State backfield. But now down by 3 in the 4th quarter, Bobby needs Coach Klein to dial something up and allow the offense to put something on the board. And eventually, the offense is able to get themselves in the end zone to take back the lead. So Bobby and his defense are back out on the field, and they're just trying their best. Because they know that all it takes is one big play, and they could end this game. And this interception right here might just do it. But of course it doesn't, because LSU's offense is terrible. And the defense is right back out on the field to try to end the game once again. And finally, they do. And although the job is not quite finished, LSU can celebrate that they are moving on to the national championship. But before the big game, Bobby actually had a big argument with Mama, because she told him that she doesn't want him to see Vicky Valancourt no more, because Mama was afraid that Bobby wouldn't keep loving her. But at this point, Bobby loved Vicky Valancourt too, and it was about time that Bobby let Mama know that.
And I like Vicky, and she likes me back. And she showed me her boobies, and I like them too.
And after that, Bobby went off to go upgrade his run stopping, and he got to 99 tackling. And he felt like he was going to need it before getting into the biggest game of his life against Coach Red Boy U and the Georgia Bulldogs.
And college football immortality, a moment that every young football player grows up dreaming about. And these two teams have survived the expanded playoff grind. They have battled through a regular season, multiple playoff victories, all sorts of challenges and adversity, and they've arrived at this moment, the battle for that precious trophy. As we'll see the #6 seed in this playoff, the Georgia Bulldogs, taking on another team from the SEC, the LSU Tigers.
We start this game off not in the backfield, but Bobby Boucher gets a pick to set the tone for this LSU defense. But for whatever reason, the Georgia wide receivers are trying to taunt Bobby.
Ooh, I'm a football player.
Not a great plan. But Georgia was still looking pretty good as they were able to find a man open downfield. But they were having a hard time getting the job done on this drive because Bobby Boucher was staying in that backfield. And so was Bobby's best teammate, Tylen Singleton. Now up 7, Bobby and the defense wanted to just continue applying pressure. And they did a great job getting a sack here to get right off the field. Georgia was now finding themselves in a bad position, but they were able to complete a pass even though Bobby Boucher was right in the quarterback's face. And the quarterback was honestly someone that Bobby wished played for his team because he was making some crazy plays. And he led his team into the end zone to close this gap. On the following drive on 3rd down, Bobby does a great job sniffing out the screen and putting an end to that drive. And now after halftime up 20, Bobby could really feel how close he was to a national championship. Just how this Georgia running back could really feel this hit from Bobby. Georgia gears back up the next drive to move down the field, but their quarterback must have lost some of his mojo because they throw an interception. And you can see Coach WaterBoy is not happy, because when Bobby Boucher is coming your way, it is probably not going to be a good day.
Auburn. Compliments of Captain Insano.
But the Georgia running back would get a little bit of redemption on this play because he does a nice spin move and gets himself downfield. And with Georgia continuing to push further downfield, Bobby and this Tiger defense didn't want to get too comfortable because Georgia found himself in the end zone once again. And although Bobby Boucher was really coming for that title, so was Georgia. And they got themselves in the end zone once again to put some pressure on LSU.
Oh no! We suck again!
And now with their back up against the wall, Georgia is trying to make a play ASAP. But LSU comes up with another interception on this game. And at this point, it was not looking too good for Georgia. I mean, it would take a miracle, but Coach Klein's green playbook that Coach WaterBoy now has was definitely capable of pulling off some miracles, as Georgia found themselves in the end zone to help cut down this lead. But after this play, the offense goes back out on the field and is able to run out the clock.
I can't believe it! I can't believe it!
And Bobby Boucher and the LSU Tigers are now national champions. Bobby Boucher went from being bullied as the water boy for Coach WaterBoy's old team to now beating him in the national championship as the best player on the entire field. And this is just a real beautiful moment from Bobby Boucher and Coach Klein. As you can see, Coach Klein packed on a few pounds due to the stress of the season. And Bobby knows Mama's in the crowd watching, so as he holds up the national championship trophy, he can only think of one thing to say.
I love Mama!
And now that Bobby Boucher is a national champion, and LSU is the #1 team in the country, Bobby decides to look at his stats compared to the other players in the country, and he sees that he is head and shoulders above everybody else. And now that Bobby Boucher is set to graduate, he can either come back for one more season, transfer to another school, or enter the NFL draft. But I'm gonna leave that one up to you guys. If you want to see more Bobby Boucher, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And comment down below what you guys want to see next. If you got to this point, just know that I appreciate you more than you know. And other than that, I'm going to catch you guys next time.